Okay, so this is the video about trees and how to draw the trees. So for this, guys, what you need is some paper, like 2 or 3 sheets, and a Sharpie, or a black marker if you got black Crayola. That will work too. So here are some examples of trees. Think Christmas tree on these that you're looking at. You can go real thick and full, like you see here. It's mostly like black in the center, and then you start seeing those branches, and they're kind of random and they're growing in slightly different directions. If you want like a very bare tree, you can switch to a pen or like a thin Sharpie pen to get more of like less, foliage and leaves on that. Then you can do some small trees, you can do some tall trees, and things like that. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to practice. So I'd get like 2 sheets of paper, one to put underneath your practice sheet, and then the second sheet goes on top. That's the one you're going to be drawing on. Sharpie tends to bleed through. Unless you have a sketchbook, then you're set. If you're doing this at the kitchen table, help out your parents and put some paper underneath so that they don't get mad at you when the Sharpie bleeds. Okay, so let me zoom in. All right. Okay, so to get started, you want to create a trunk. So with these types of trees, what you want to do is start real thin at the top, and then as you move down, you want that trunk to get a little bit wider. So watch and then do. So it starts thin like that, and then as I move down, I'm going to thicken it up a little bit at the base, because that's where the tree is strongest. Okay, and then you determine like how tall do you want it to be. So practice this until you get the hang of it. All right, so starting at the top, these branches are going to be short, and then as we move down, they're going to get longer and fuller. So for this, I'm going to do a sloping line down, but it's real short and small. And then maybe on the next one, I might do kind of a squiggle. And for this, I want you to pretend like your hand is shaky as you draw. You don't want perfect branches. You don't want them to all look the same. You want them to look irregular and a little random. So it might be like a little white space here, and then I might go down and then put a couple of lines in there. Let me zoom in a little bit better. Okay, so here I'll do a line, and then underneath it, I might put some diagonals underneath that. Then right here, I might have crisscrossing branches. Maybe one pops up here, maybe goes way out. And then maybe there's some like little branches in the middle that are kind of thick and full. So it's kind of scribbly, but the idea is to have some sloping downward. And as you get down to the bottom, they're going to get a little bit wider. And maybe a little branch pops up there. Maybe a couple pop out there. Maybe it's bare right there on that side. Who knows? Maybe it's fuller on this side. So if you need to like watch me for a while do this, when you're ready, jump in, start practicing, rewind the video, watch it a few times. But you want some variety. You want some thin branches, you want some thick branches, because that's how trees grow. They shed leaves and pines, and thicker in certain areas, thinner in some, more bare. Have some branches go up, have some branches go down. And notice now that I'm starting to expand the width of that. So I do like a sloping line, and then underneath that line, I'm just going to make a couple of marks right below it. It looks like a low-hanging, drooping branch. Do the same here. This is where all that new growth is. There you go. Okay, so you can rewind this video a couple of times if you need to watch it, and then just practice. Practice, get all of your nerves out, work out the problems until you start getting a tree you're happy with. And then you might put a little baby tree right next to it. So do my trunk again, and maybe this one doesn't have a lot going on. Or maybe it starts to overlap with the tree next to it. That makes it look a little more natural. And it crisscrosses with this tree. You just want a natural look. Again, maybe it's thicker right here in the middle. Maybe there's a lot of growth here, and maybe it's thinner up top. Okay, so that's kind of the basic idea with the trees. And so practice a couple of times, and when you go to do your project, you want to make sure that you have a variety of heights. So maybe you have 2 or 3 trees next to each other, or you know, maybe you have some spaced out. Maybe you create a gap here, and if this is our hill, you know, then maybe right here I have a gap, and then maybe I have like a distant tree that's really far away. Okay, so there's not much detail going on in this one because it's pretty far away. But then up close in the foreground, see this little tree isn't way in the distance, so that's in the background, but and then I come back and I have a taller tree, you know, in the front, in the foreground. So again, treat it like you kind of have a nervous, shaky hand. Make a branch, put some growth underneath it, make a branch, put some growth underneath it. A couple of bare branches popping out. Have some bare spots there. Also, another thing you can do is you can have a lot of growth at the very bottom, and maybe that growth merges into the hill, you know? Maybe it's all the way to the ground. So you might experiment with that. Okay, so have fun with that. Practice it. When you're ready and when your paper's dry, your project, then go ahead and go for it.